Good morning or good afternoon. I am Brooklyn Borough President Adams, and I'm here with civil rights attorney Norman Siegel. And I have been involved in many initiatives before, but I have never been more excited about this initiative that we are going to embark upon dealing with our young people. Norman Siegel called me a few weeks ago, probably 2 weeks ago, and talked about the importance of dialogue and how do we move this conversation about police community relations forward. And I was unclear on exactly how to do it until I visited some of our local schools. One was Bishop Kearney, a Catholic school in the Bensonhurst area of Brooklyn, and they were on their way to go to Washington, D.C. and visit Vietnam and other military veterans and spend a day of service. And then last week, I was at a school, Magen David Yeshiva High School, and the young people were using technology to speak with students from China in their classroom in China, and they were interacting. And it dawned on me that we are using technology to speak across the globe, but the reality is that we're not speaking to each other in our same borough and in our same city and in our same country. We are living in silos. And those silos, I believe, are directly connected to some of the problems we're having with our police-community relations. And so this team of schools that I want to thank, Bishop Kearney High School in Bensonhurst, Brooklyn Academy of Science and Environment in Crown Heights, Brooklyn Amity School in Sheepshead Bay, Eagle Academy for Young Men in Brownsville, Magen David Yeshiva High School in Gravesend, Mott Hall Bridge Academy in Brownsville, Sunset Park High School in Sunset Park, and some of our partners that's going to be part of the initiative we will talk about is the New York Peace Institute and the Crown Heights Community Mediation Center. And also want to thank City Hall. Emma Wolf is here representing City Hall for their participation. And we had just some bad news that we had one of our union presidents that was going to join us, Captain Roy Richter. He had an accident on his way over here, but he asked me to read this statement, and he will be available for anyone that would love to reach out and have communications with him. Captain Richter stated, "We are stronger and safer when we speak with each other, especially in the wake of tragedies like our city has suffered with the loss of detectives Lou and Ramos. Our community has been very supportive during this time, and it highlights the importance of police-community relations. Dialogue that involves our young people, whose voices are so important to hear, are an investment in the future of our city." And again, Captain Richter, who's right now on in his way here, had a minor vehicle accident, will be available for any questions that you may have. And we're looking forward to him and the other unions being a part of this initiative. We will continue to speak with them and ask them to be a part of this initiative. But the most important aspect, two-phase initiative that we're doing. One is dealing with traditional town halls that Norman Siegel will talk about. And the second is dealing with what's called Google Hangout. It is going to allow students across the city, from the place of their classrooms, to connect with students across the city and have a dialogue and come up with solutions on how do we deal with the issue of police-community relations. It's going to allow the students in Gravesend to talk to students in Brownsville so they can share their interactions and in their encounters with police and their perceptions so that we can better understand why we view law enforcement in a certain way, and how do we move towards having a closer involvement with our police department. Some of these conversations are going to be difficult, and they're going to have a level of discomfort, but we're going to lean into our discomfort so we can come out of that discomfort a better city and a better borough. We believe the students of Brooklyn will set the tone that the entire city and the entire country is going to show. We often say that someone must be the adult in the room around these difficult conversations, and we believe the adults are going to be our young people who are going to show us how do we come together and resolve these complicated issues. I want to also share that today's announcements of having both the traditional town halls and using technology, the same technology that our young people use every day, is the bridging together of both methods to come about with a fair solution. I'm a strong believer in the power of technology, and it's in that spirit that we're going to launch our first digital dialogue, we're calling it, on Tuesday, January 20th. It's going to be between students at schools across our boroughs, and it's going to include 4 schools using a video chat platform. Young people in Brownsville would talk with young people in Bensonhurst, just as young people in Sunset Park would talk with young people in Sheepshead Bay, all around the issue of police-community relation. We're hoping that the voice of our young people will be a call to actions for all of us to follow the lead of this administration as we move towards how do we ensure proper policing, proper accountability, and proper respect with our young people. And so I'm excited about the possibility. We can all disagree without being disagreeable. We can learn how we can deal with these uncomfortable conversations and come out closer and stronger together with core values that bond us together as New Yorkers. And as a result of our efforts, we will be reminded of the motto that defines the borough. We in Brooklyn are unified together as one Brooklyn. We will turn pain into purpose and remember those who have lost their lives to ensure that we can move towards a safer city. And so I'm excited about this moment. I am excited about the collaboration. I am excited about the energy that Brooklyn is going to bring to this conversation to ensure that we can have a united conversation in a united borough and a united city around this important endeavor. And so now I'm going to ask my good friend, civil rights attorney Norman Siegel, to come forward and have a few words. Norman?
Thank you, Borough President. Good afternoon, everyone. We launched this town hall initiative in the hope of creating a public process where constructive voices of all persuasions can be heard regarding the issue, very simply, how do we improve police-community relations in this city? It is crucial that neighborhoods and groups most affected by the breakdown in police-community trust and cooperation, as well as members of the NYPD and other law enforcement agencies, participate fully in this public conversation. We need to examine why this mutual lack of trust and cooperation exists, and better understand the criticisms, grievances, thank you, and recommendations of each side. We must ask the community, what are the failings of specific police practices, such as broken windows? We need to address how the criminal justice system, including the grand jury process, should be reformed, and why some have called for a special prosecutor to address allegations of police misconduct. Equally, we need to explore together how to improve training for NYPD officers and reduce stereotyping on all sides, on all sides. Upgrade resources at police precincts in order to invite more positive interaction with community residents and generally improve the working conditions for members of the NYPD. We must, I repeat, we must not deny or minimize or trivialize the painful reality that a wide gap has opened between City Hall and the police unions and the rank and file of the NYPD. Neighborhood, community, and civic groups have not always spoken with one voice and have their own often conflicting agendas. History teaches that in order to overcome these problems, we need to boldly, honestly, and sensitively confront them, and to do so together. Borough President Adams and I are committed to leading and facilitating such a process. We openly invite members of the NYPD, community residents, protesters, criminal justice experts, and concerned residents and young people to join us. We welcome all those who want to participate in an open and respectful dialogue, for this is not only what our city and the times requires, but it is the essence of what our democracy is supposed to be all about. I want to make 4 quick points. First of all, I want to thank the Borough President, members of his staff, Stephen, Stephen, Nan, and Pastor Monrose. I want to thank Cal Snyder and Sindra Durst for helping put this process together. Second, I want, for the record, for people to understand that the idea of the Town Hall Initiative was developed and agreed to prior to that fateful, horrific day of December 20th, 2014, with the murders of Detectives Ramos and Lou. Also to point out that the leadership of the Borough President in Brooklyn has also produced that the Borough President of Manhattan will do a similar kind of series beginning on January 26th. And we're hoping that the 3 other Borough Presidents will also join in, so this will be truly a citywide process. And finally, I'll conclude on a personal note. This morning I watched the images in Paris, France, and saw at least 1 million, if not more, Parisians and people from all over Europe and the Middle East come together for a unity march rally. I'm not comparing what we're doing to what happened in Paris this past week, but there are some similarities, especially about violence. The people in Paris this morning were taking a horrific negative and turning it into a visible positive. We hope to do the same thing here in Brooklyn and hopefully throughout the city. Take the negative of what happened on December 20th, take, in my opinion, the negative with regard to Eric Gardner and what happened in Ferguson, and turn it into a positive. I hope that someday that I will see a New York City unity rally in March. I close my eyes and I see us marching up Fifth Avenue, hundreds of thousands of New Yorkers. And as we march up Fifth Avenue, we go into Central Park and we reclaim the Great Lawn, and we have our peaceful First Amendment unity rally. And all leaders and people in the city of New York come together. And just as in Paris, Je suis Charlie, we say, I am New York City. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Norm. Thank you. And I think it's just so important to hear from the young people who will participate in this important endeavor. The first young person we will speak with is Jade Bada from Majan David Yeshiva High School.
Thank you, Mr. Borough President. It is an honor for us to join in this wonderful program and to follow the trailblazing footsteps of Borough President Eric Adams, having an open, sincere, heart-to-heart dialogue with our fellow students throughout Brooklyn will undoubtedly touch upon subjects that are sensitive and even subjects that are uncomfortable. But that is the only way, I think, we can move forward to ultimately live with each other in tranquility, security, harmony, and friendship. There is nothing wrong with dignified disagreement. In fact, it is the hallmark of our cherished democracy. It is only when people stop talking to each other or talk to each other with a lack of regard and respect that society begins to crumble. And so we are honored to take part in this great initiative. We look forward to establishing open dialogue and bonds of friendship with our fellow youth so that tomorrow can look much brighter for Brooklyn, for New York, and for America. Thank you.
I don't think it could have been better said. And from Bishop Kearney High School, Amanda Alexander. Amanda?
I'm gonna keep this short and sweet. It is a privilege and an honor to participate in this conference. It speaks to the fact that our voices matter and it will be heard. We are looking forward to finding solutions to the real world and challenges that not just the youth, but Brooklyn invites us to be together in general. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Synergy. And from the New York Peace Institute, Marquita James. Is Marquita here? Marquita?
Hello, everyone. When Borough President Adams contacted us to ask if we would help facilitate the number of conversations that he's planned with youth around the issue of violence and relationships with the New York Police Department, we were absolutely thrilled to have the opportunity to be a part of this initiative. As Borough President Adams has identified, the youth you see standing beside me and behind me are an untapped resource of profound wisdom and insight into some of the dynamics that have been shifting in our city recently. And we are just absolutely delighted to have an opportunity to spend time with them and to facilitate the conversations that Borough President Adams is convening on January 20th. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll open the floor up to questions, but we can't say enough about all of the entities that are coming together, the Peace Institute, Crown Heights Mediation Center, these schools who are the first rounds, and we're hoping to continue the cross-pollination of ideas and emotions, and as some of these difficult conversations, because they are extremely difficult conversations, we're hoping to continue to move people to be open and candid about how they feel about some of these tough choices we are going to have to make. And again, I just want to really extend my thank you to City Hall, Emma, who's here representing City Hall. City Hall has clearly have been cooperative in the concept and the idea of how do we move this conversation forward. And Roy Richter from the Captains Union, who was my captain president when I was a captain in the police department, when I spoke with him, he stated, Eric, it is important that we do have these conversations, and that is unprecedented for a police union president to engage in conversations with our young people so we can deal with these tough decisions. And so I believe we are turning the corner and we're moving in the right direction on how New York and Brooklyn is going to lead the way on these important conversations. I'll open the floor up to any questions that you may have of me, Norman, or one of the students.
I just want to add, our first town hall meeting will be next Sunday at 3 o'clock at Borough Hall in Brooklyn.
Hi, Borough President. You indicated, and Mr. Siegel did as well, that police are always welcome at town halls and perhaps people hang out there as well. Is there a willingness on their part to participate? You heard a lot of enthusiasm.
Well, I think the reason we're doing the Google Hangout is because it helps in two different ways. Number one, we're going to reach out to those officers who are off duty that want to participate, because I have received a great deal of calls and emails from active officers who really would like to add their voice to this conversation. And so what we have learned, as long as the officers are off duty and they are clearly indicated that they are not representing the police department, that they're able to participate, and we would like for them to participate. One round of these Google Chat hangouts is we would like to have police officers on talking directly with students and talking about some of those issues. And we also spoke with the Deputy Commissioner of Training in the New York City Police Department, Commissioner Julian, and he stated that he will have some of his staff that was sitting on some of these chats to hear the recommendations and see what can be incorporated into the training.
Yeah, let me add, before we announce this, I personally did talk to current as well as former NYPD officers, and there is, at this point, some interest in participating. I will tell one little anecdote. When I talked to a current NYPD officer, he said to me, "I can't do that because the police department won't let me speak." I explained to him that he did have a First Amendment right, similar to what the Borough President just said. So for any NYPD officers that are out here listening, let me make it very clear. If you are off duty and you're not wearing your uniform, you have a First Amendment right in order to come and participate. And if you do that, and there's any attempt by anyone to punish you, I personally, on a pro bono basis, will represent that officer.
Thank you, thank you. The timeline is we want to do it during the school hours. We would like for it to be in assembly where the students can sit in an assembly gathering, either the cafeteria, the lunchroom, or in the auditorium, and speak directly to students. It is important to us, two important components. One, we want the students inside their school building in their community to have a level of comfort. And the second, we think the visual is important where the students must see each other. Instead of just a tweet or text, we want the visual of seeing a group of students who may be Hispanic, who may be Jewish, who may be African American or Asian. We think that visual is important. As I saw when I saw the students speaking across seas, they were able to look at the Chinese students and learn that they like the same music, they like some of the same foods, and they like to do the same thing, and they both hate school. So everything, there was a uniformity. And once we realized what we had, once we realize what they have in common, they start the process of dealing with those difficult conversations where they have uncommon. So the first date of the first chat that's going to take place is going to be on Tuesday, January 20th. That's the first of 4 schools that would be part of the Google Hangout. And dealing with the report and the forums, Norman Siegel can answer that.
It's a very good question. On the town hall meetings, we will begin them. We consciously decided to begin them next Sunday on Dr. King weekend. It's only fitting to begin this process on that weekend. We hope to have anywhere from 4 to 6 in Brooklyn, similar in Manhattan. There will be a written report, and I'll get back to that in a second. And we're also thinking potentially we have our videographer here, and we're thinking of potentially, if it all works out well, to put a maybe 30-minute documentary about the process, why the process came to be, how you carry out a process like this, and what impact, if any. The written report will probably have 3 sections. 1, what I just said. Why did this come to be? How did it come to be? That we will listen to what people have to say at the town hall meetings, and there will be a section specifically about recommendations addressing the theme, how to improve police-community relations. We're hoping to be able to conclude this process sometime in March, and the reason in March, it's not arbitrary for the following 2 reasons. One, President Barack Obama has put together a task force on a national level to address exactly this kind of question. We hope that at least in Brooklyn and Manhattan, if others join, to be able to send our recommendations to the President and his task force. And second, the governor of the state, Andrew Cuomo, had announced recently that he, in the new legislative session, was going to explore A to Z with regard to this issue, especially with regard to the grand jury process, which again is secret, and anyone who knows anything knows that if you have a secret process, it only will breed distrust and mistrust. The confusion and resentment around Garner and Ferguson comes, in my opinion, from the fact that the process for the grand jury was secret. And therefore, people are confused, especially in Staten Island, when you see the video and you wonder, how can you not get probable cause? So we hope to be able to put together a quality report with specific recommendations of how to improve police-community relations and send it to Governor Cuomo so that in their thinking through the legislature, they, by the end of their term in June of 2015, will have the input. So it's all been thought through. And again, I want to point out we are not doing this just because of what happened on December 20th. December 20th makes this process an initiative more needed than ever. But even, and God willing, if it didn't happen on December 20th, we would have been here. We held back out of respect to make sure that we didn't announce this until both funerals of Ramos and Lou were concluded. Thank you.
Any other questions? We just want to take a, yes.
That's a semi-off topic, if you don't mind. I was hoping you could speak to what you believe is the impetus behind the work slowdown that Commissioner Radin confirmed is happening.
I think it's a combination of things. Number one, that police officers are human, and I think many of them were traumatized by the awful assassination. I think that some of the officers may have had a misdirected feeling of anger, but we are professionals, and I think that there may have been a slowdown on some of the minor traffic, and some is writing, but there was definitely not a slowdown in police protection. 2 officers were shot while trying to apprehend a robbery suspect. We are continuing to see an unprecedented decrease in crime. Clearly, officers are listening to calls of service, and they are not in any way doing anything that's going to endanger the lives of the public. I think this city is moving in the right direction around public safety, and I believe in a week to come, you're going to see the proper actions from the police commissioner to make sure that everyone is doing their job as law enforcement officers. They took a sworn oath. That uniform means something, and it does not get caught up in politics. No matter who's the mayor, police commissioner, who's the governor or the president, police officers have a responsibility to continue to serve and protect, and they understand that. Yes, ma'am.
Will this be a school-wide initiative, or are only certain groups of students going to be participating? And will this be expanded to other schools in the future in order to continue this conversation?
Yes, our goal is to ensure that all our students, one, participate in this formal setting where we will arrange the interactions with the school. And what we're hoping is that this starts a process of a continuous dialogue. We believe the children from the yeshiva and the children from the Catholic school, when we finish this initiative, will continue to do Google Hangout. And not only hang out via technology, but there's no reason they can't hang out in each other's cafeteria during off-school hours. They can hang out in each other's friendly environment. What I was surprised to find when I spoke to one of the young people in East New York, a young man, I was talking about school, and he said he has never spoken to a white student before. And to me, that's amazing, that we have children that are growing up in the greatest classroom, the diversity of Brooklyn, New York, and we're not allowing them to leave the silos that they're in and enjoy the beauty of an education, which is being educated around diversity. And we're hoping that this initiative become proactive to prevent some of the negative energy that has really taking over the lives of these students. They don't want to read about these encounters. They want to be part of the change of these encounters. And so we want to take a moment of silence and grab each other's hand as a symbol of unity for the individuals who lost their lives in an innocent way. Norman, want to do it?
Do it the civil rights way. Cross your hands over.
Right, there you go.
Right, not the way the other people do it.
And we just want to take a moment of silence for those innocent lives that are lost in the city, in the country. No innocent person should lose, in Paris, no innocent person should lose his or her life for no reason or for minor infractions. And that's the statement that these young people are making and what they are saying. And this is an amazing day for Brooklyn, for New York, and for America. Our young people are going to regain and take back their country and their future in the process. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you,